If you're a fan of movies like Searching or Unfriended, Profile may just be the film for you. What is up, flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Profile is the brand new film coming to theaters this weekend. I want to say thank you to Focus Features for providing me a screener. And this movie was really interesting because it originally premiered at a film festival all the way back in 2018. And it's just now coming out. I'm going to tell you whether this very different style movie is worth watching or not. From director Timur Bekmambetov, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, an undercover British journalist infiltrates the online propaganda channels of the so-called Islamic State, only to be sucked in by her recruiter. So I mentioned the comparisons before, Unfriended and Searching. I loved Searching, by the way, one of my favorite movies of that year. And you start out with this film on the exact same note. The computer screen opens up, you're introduced to our main character, and thus we go on that journey through the different screens and seeing Amy's journey play out via social media. She starts out creating a fake profile because she is tasked with going undercover and kind of playing into the hands of a recruiter of sorts, someone who is trying to lure these women over to his side of the world. Essentially, she's trying to expose an ISIS recruiter by lying. And I was so intrigued with that premise, and I said to myself, is it gimmicky that they're using, the Searching and Unfriended method of showing everything on these screens, or is it something that's going to amplify the story? And to my surprise, at least through the first half of the film, it was working. It was getting me sucked in. I was on this journey. Again, it's definitely gimmicky, right? But it's something that at least allowed me to be sucked into the story, and I wasn't really complaining about it 40 to 45 minutes in, so that was interesting. And then you look at the story itself, and while it does become maybe a bit overly convoluted and almost too easy by the end, how this very serious topic somewhat turns into melodrama in the third act. That's when I really started to find frustration with this film. But prior to that, before it goes into that territory, we're hitting on some really important and interesting topics here. And it almost goes from this thriller to somewhat of a horror film at points because of the lies that she is being fed, or at least it seems that way. But then you see her start to kind of get sucked into this world. She becomes emotional. She becomes engaged in a way that we as an audience definitely did not expect, because this goes from being just something she's doing as a job to something a lot more serious, and it gets about as serious as you could imagine, and all of those things combine to kind of mesh those two genres together, a thriller and a horror. And I think Profile does a great job of blending those two things together, at least in the first two acts, and create for some really compelling and intense drama through this story of this ISIS recruiter who is saying and doing all of these things to make her truly believe, even though he doesn't know she's undercover, to make her truly believe that she is worth something more. So it is that back and forth, and I believe both of those performances with those two characters, who are kind of the focus in the forefront, a couple supporting characters here and there that she'll call and contact just to make sure she's doing the right thing or saying the right thing, or beyond that in the third act. They're pretty good, but overall we're focused on these two, and they do a great job of carrying this story. And again, I go back to my criticisms. It didn't entirely turn out the way that I anticipated, and that's not a bad thing, but sometimes when it starts to diverge into that melodramatic territory, it does bring the other genres down just a little bit, and it did do that in the third act. So I wasn't entirely satisfied with the resolution, but the journey itself was far more compelling than anticipated. And when you look at movies like this that play out on these computer screens and this style of film, this is definitely one of the better movies in that genre? It's not a genre. It's a style of film. Funny enough, this is the director of the Ben-Hur remake that came out in 2016, and I wasn't really a fan of that film, so this is a far better outing in my opinion. As to why it took so long to come out, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think that has a lot to do with the quality, because again, I think there's definitely quality present. I think there are a lot of good ideas hit on here, some interesting topics, some conversations that are going to be brought up after watching this film. So Profile does a lot right. First off, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to support this video, drop your thumbs up down below, and let me know, are you going to try to check out Profile in theaters or when it drops on demand? And even though it doesn't entirely stick the landing, Profile sheds an interesting light on this topic and provides plenty of thrills along the way. We go a solid 70% for Profile. I believe this is a film worth watching, and it's one that I'm really interested to see your reaction to. And if you see this in a packed theater, you're going to get some gasps along the way, and that provides for a really good theatrical experience. All right, you guys are truly the best. Come back to this channel. Way more reviews. And a lot this morning, a lot later today. I just reviewed Castlevania and Oxygen, so check those videos out. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.